Happy Tuesday, happy game day eve, and welcome to another episode of Hornets Daily, your one-stop shop for all things Charlotte Hornets. As always, represented by the good people over at FanArc, and I'm your host, Vance Ballard, but you already know you can call me VB. I want to thank everybody for joining us today, watching along with us out there. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, leave a like and a comment down in the comment section. You know how much we enjoy watching you guys interact, hearing some of your thoughts on the show as we continue to grow and build this Hornets Daily family here on the program. Almost at that 400 subscriber number, just about there. We're going to get there soon, again, as we continue to grow and build this family here on the Hornets Daily program. We've got a full docket for you today. You can hear we're battling some voice issues, but we're overcoming that. We've got a full show. The Hornets have officially released their opening night roster. We'll go over that here today on the program. LaMelo Ball comes into this season, we've talked about it a lot, with maybe the most pressure ever on him in his NBA career. How is he going to handle that? I'll tell you what I think about that pressure on the show today. We're going to talk a little bit about the best and worst case scenarios. A writer over at Sports Illustrated has offered up what he thinks are the dream and nightmare situations for the Hornets roster, or for the Hornets season this year. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. And then we'll wrap the show up talking about some important pieces on the Hornets not named Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, or LaMelo Ball. Who are going to be those other key pieces? Who is it going to become of the not of those three guys to make a big impact on the Hornets this season? I'll tell you more about what I think that's going to be at the end of the show today. Now, you know, we don't beat around the bush here on Hornets Daily, like to dive headfirst into the program, and that's exactly what we're going to do here today. Now, I mentioned the Hornets have officially released the opening night roster. They've gotten the number down to 15 under contract. They've got their 3 two-way contracts decided. This is the roster the Hornets are going to run out with on opening night. You can see on the screen here, Miles Bridges, LaMelo Ball, Grant Williams, Sion James, Con Knipple, Colin Sexton, Drew Peterson, Josh Green, Ryan Kalkbrenner, Antonio Reeves, Moussa Diabate, Pat Connaughton, Mason Plumlee, Trey Mann, Brandon Miller, KJ Simpson, Tajon Salon, and Leah McNeely. Now you see there Drew Peterson, Antonio Reeves, KJ Simpson. They are all the 3 two-way contract guys. We probably, as we've talked about, we expect KJ Simpson to get the most run with the NBA team of those 3 guys. But it will still be interesting to see what roles Drew Peterson and Antonio Reeves play with this team as well. Something interesting about this roster, if you look here, you can see, as we've talked about, the center position does just have 3 guys. It is Ryan Kalkbrenner, it is Mason Plumlee, it is Moussa Diabate. Still up in the air who's going to start tomorrow night, but that is the center position as it sits right now. That's what the Hornets are going to roll with. That's who Charles Lee feels confident in, and that's who is going to be put around to help LaMelo Ball and the rest of this team try and have a successful season this year. Speaking of LaMelo Ball, we told you a lot of pressure on him, maybe the most he's had in his young NBA career, coming into what are starting to be his veteran years, where he's expected to now step into that leadership role, something we've spoke about on the show quite a bit as well. We talked all about the expectations, the progress that he needs to make, the efficiency he needs to play with on offense, the effort he needs to give and show on defense. We've said several times that this is the most talent around him as well. So all of those things add up to equate the amount of pressure that is coming onto LaMelo Ball this season. Again, like I said, probably the most pressure that he's faced so far in his career. It's time for him to be the franchise player. It's time for him to be the team leader. It's time for him to play like the superstar that we know he can. And again, I think all of those expectations are going to come to fruition this year. I think LaMelo is going to wonderfully handle this pressure. I actually think all the pressure on him is a good thing. And here's why. There's nothing that LaMelo likes more. We all know this. There's nothing he likes more than shutting people up, proving them wrong, getting to kind of rub something in your face. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but there's nothing that LaMelo loves more than being doubted and then proving you wrong. And that's kind of exactly what the situation is right now. I told you last week, I think we're going to see a very different version of LaMelo this year. I think we're going to see a much more efficient version. I think we're going to truly see his passing ability on full display. We know all about the flash, the crazy shot selection, the attention-stealing style that he plays the game with. All of these things are still going to be there. I think the shot selection will be a little bit better. I do think he's heard some of that. I think Coach Charles Lee has kind of talked to him a little bit about that, and he knows that that's not exactly what's best for the team, especially with this new rebuilt roster. But like we've talked about, I think we're about to see the true ability of LaMelo Ball to pass the ball and to be an efficient point guard this year. I think we're going to really see. We know we think we know what he can do with a passer, but I do think that as a passer, but I think LaMelo is going to take another step and really unlock a next level to his passing ability this year. I think he's going to be that efficient point guard that we've been talking about all summer. He's going to not turn the ball over. He's going to take less crazy shots just because he doesn't have to anymore. And I think that it's going to be I think it's going to go very well for LaMelo. All of those things are going to combine for a big year from the Hornets superstar. Now, as we know, pressure is something that he's felt and he's had on him since the age of 16 when his family was thrust into the limelight, and he's got his father, LeVar Ball. We know what kind of pressure someone like that in your life can put on you. So he's been dealing with it for a very, very long time, and honestly, we know that there's a lot of people that don't really like the way he handles it, but in my opinion, I think he handles the pressure quite well. He stays out of trouble. He's not a bad person. He's not a bad kid. He's a little bit flashy and doesn't do it the way that some people would prefer, which is what tends to rub that group the wrong way. He's never folded. He's never backed down for 1 second from who he is, and he's done all the right things this offseason as well to show that he is a good teammate, that he's ready to be that leader, and he is, in fact, committed to winning, which we know is contrary to popular opinion here as of late when it comes to LaMelo. Coach Charles Lee has even said one of the things that's impressed him the most this offseason about LaMelo, or really overall in his 2 years being around him, is that he not only wants to lead on the court, but he wants to lead off of it just as much as well. And I think that continuing to develop that mindset and grow as a leader is only going to benefit not only the Hornets, but LaMelo as well this season going forward. There's no question that with a rebuilt roster, a lot of youth around him, there is massive pressure on LaMelo Ball. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying he's good at handling that pressure, and he's going to do just fine with the added or extra pressure that may be on him this season. I think he's going to be able to be the leader on this team, not just on the floor, not just in the stat sheet, but in the locker room as well. He's going to be able to take that next step. He's going to prove a lot of people wrong, and I think he's ready to accept the challenge and truly lead this Hornets team to a much improved season towards where they're trying to get to, towards where we all know they want to go this season, which is the play-in or even the playoffs, which brings us to our next topic, the best and worst case scenarios for the Hornets this season. We know we are right on the doorsteps of opening night. It is tomorrow, so it is about that time to talk about some predictions, talk about some dreams, talk about some nightmares, and Colin Keene over at Sports Illustrated did exactly that. He's written what he thinks would be a disappointing season for the Hornets, as well as what he calls a dream season here in Charlotte. Now, right off the bat, I'll talk a little bit about it, but right off the bat, when I was reading this, I think I liked the disappointing season for a couple reasons, specifically because he starts by saying that a disappointment for Charlotte would be 25 wins or less, which to me shows that he is already skipping just simply being better than last year. We know that 25 wins would be a vast improvement over last year's record and last year's team. So I think it shows a lot about what the Hornets have done already this offseason, about the front office and the guys that they've brought in, about the steps forward that this roster has taken, that it's not just simply settling for 20 wins, 21 wins, or just being better than last year. It's not about small improvements. It's a big step forward. So even the most disappointing of seasons would still be forward progress. It just goes to show that Charles Lee and Jeff Peterson and company have done well this offseason. They've been able to put together a roster that on paper, that already provides expectations of just being better than last year, but actually taking a larger step forwards. He also added that more injuries would be a real downer for this season. Obviously, we know that. We know the injury history with this team. We know the guys that he's talking about: Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges. Any of those guys suffering those major injuries, that would be the big downer. That would be a disappointment. That would be a worst case scenario situation for the Hornets. We know they've added some depth to help prevent or counteract any of those injuries if they do happen. But again, you don't wish for them. We would love for the Hornets to be able to put together a full healthy season this year. Now, Keene's best case scenario, while pitched as a dream season, I think there are still some very realistic elements to it. He has listed 35 to 40 wins, make the play-in tournament, 0 major injuries, an all-star appearance from LaMelo Ball or Brandon Miller or Miles Bridges, or 2 of the 3, whatever that may be. And now, those are just some. He also added that there should be a couple other elements to this. We'll get to those as well, but we'll stop with these for right now. His best case scenario has these things involved, and I completely do see how the combination of all those things are a bit fanatical. They are a bit dream-like in terms of all of them happening at one time, but as I said, I think there are at least some very doable, realistic expectations involved in that. I think either LaMelo or Brandon Miller will be an all-star this year, and I think that the rebuilt roster around them due to and what's going to be an improved record at the all-star break are going to go a long way towards helping those two guys make one of or both of those two guys become all-stars this season. I also really think that Charlotte can realistically compete for a play-in spot in this Eastern Conference. We've talked all summer about how depleted it is, how deprived, how run down the Eastern Conference is right now, and if there's ever been a time for the Hornets to take advantage of the conference, it's right now and utilize what they have in front of them to capitalize on it and make a play-in spot, make a playoff spot without getting in the play-in tournament. Now that may be very fanatical. That may be a major dream scenario, but it would still be awesome to have happen. I'm not sure there's any Hornets fan anywhere in the world right now that would feel confident in 0 major injuries. I know that that's something that has been we're fearful of here in Charlotte. It's something that we have to be fearful of due to how many times it's happened before, especially and with their track record of injuries. We know that expecting 0 major injuries is probably not the brightest idea. If it does happen, that would be fantastic, but to expect it just feels like a luxury that Hornets fans can't afford themselves right now because of the past history and how much we've been hurt before by injuries. I guess a little wordplay there, but hurt before by injuries with this team. Another element that I was talking about to Keene's dream season is Tre Mann playing like a 6th man of the year for the whole season. Now, this one, too, I think is realistic. I'm not saying that Tre Mann's going to win the award for 6th man of the year. I'm not. He may be in contention. He may be in talks. But I am saying I think we're going to get a high level of play from Tre Mann all throughout this season if he, too, can stay healthy. I don't think it's going to be any issue for him coming off the bench and playing a lot like he was last year. He may not be as called upon or is asked to do as much with the guard depth that's going to be around him as well. He'll be playing with guys like Colin Sexton, Con Knipple. He'll be on the floor with McNeely. He'll be on the floor with LaMelo, Brandon Miller, all of that. So he's not going to be as leaned upon as he was in his rookie season before he went out with injury as well. But I do think we're still going to see a very high level of play with him. I'm high on Tre Mann. I think that I'm high on a lot of the Hornets guards. I think they have assembled a very good group at that position, and it's going to show a lot of promise this season going forwards. But specifically, I think that Tre Mann is going to have a big year. I'm not saying he's going to win 6th man of the year, but I'm saying that it does feel a little more real, like one of the more realistic elements to the dream season of him playing at a high level or playing at and getting talked about, at least being in the conversation at some point in the season for 6th man of the year, at least having some talking head somewhere saying he's playing like, he could be in the mix. That I think is very possible for Tre Mann. And in all honesty, I feel like this Hornets team will fall somewhere in between these two scenarios, the dream and the nightmare. I've said all summer and have not wavered on this any. I think this team can be a 27-plus win team this season. I know that's not a big number. It's not a crazy number or world-beating number or anything like that, but it would be an improvement on last year it would show that the Hornets are moving in the right direction. And I also think they can take advantage of this Eastern Conference if things break the right way. That's going to require a little bit more luck. We know the Hornets don't always have that, but if they're able to get some, and they do get some breaks, I do truly believe they're able to take advantage of this downtrodden Eastern Conference right now and find themselves in the play-in tournament at the end of the year. I do think they've assembled a roster good enough to do that. Now, I know we said we'd wrap the show up talking about some of our critical pieces not named Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, or Miles Bridges, and that's what we're going to do. It's very well known, as I just named them, who the big three are on this team and how important they're going to be. They're the three starting positions. We've heard Coach Charles Lee say it himself. Actually, 3 starters are a given. 2 are still fluid, was exactly how Charles Lee put it, but the 3 that are a given are the 3 I just mentioned there. Who are going to be those most important pieces other than those 3 guys I just mentioned? There's some very obvious answers to this question, and guys who are going to play large roles, going to have important impacts, like Colin Sexton, Con Knipple, the number 4 overall pick. Moussa Diabate would also be an obvious name on this list. But Skylar Callahan over at Sports Illustrated thinks there's someone else as well, and I find it to be very intriguing. Someone we've talked a lot about as of late, Ryan Kalkbrenner. We know the Kalkbrenner's been sort of on a meteoric rise within the organization, not throughout the league by any means, but within the Hornets organization since being drafted, more specifically since the start of training camp. Coach Charles Lee has raved about him. Miles Bridges has complimented his play and commended his abilities on the floor as well. And we've seen some really strong preseason performances from Kalkbrenner. He had a double-double. One game out, he's played multiple 20-plus minute performances, so we know his cardio is there. We know he's capable of playing long stints on the floor and doing quite well when he does it as at the same time. Again, we don't know. I've mentioned this a couple times. We don't know yet exactly what his role is going to be. Is he going to be a starter? Is he going to come off the bench? But it is shaping up like no matter what, he's going to see a lot of minutes, and he could potentially even be the starter at the center position. Maybe as soon as tomorrow night. That's still up in the air. We're waiting for Charles Lee to make that decision. But Ryan Kalkbrenner could be the center going forwards. If he can adapt to the speed of the NBA game, if he can figure out the Hornets offense on the go, we know he's talked about the learning curves that are learning, coming from the same offense for 5 years and then trying to be thrown into a new one. He's had time now to understand the Hornets offense. If he can continue to pick that up on the go and adapt to the speed of the game quicker than expected, the Hornets may have accidentally solved their center problem. Now, when I say accidentally, I don't mean they just kind of stumbled upon it. They drafted Kalkbrenner on purpose. They drafted him for a reason. But if he can be thrust into the starting role and be an impact player as a rookie, that's the part I think will be accidental. It wasn't expected on draft night when he was taken for him to come in and play a major role or even to be the starting center as a rookie. But if he's able to take that step, if he's able to show that level of improvement throughout the summer, if he's able to impress Charles Lee enough to be the starter tomorrow night and continue to do so throughout the regular season, then yes, the Hornets could have accidentally solved their center problem. He doesn't need to be a nightly double-double, Kalkbrenner, although he certainly could be, and I think at some point in his career he will be. He'll get to that. But as a rookie right now, that's not necessarily what's going to be the most important thing. If he can anchor the paint defensively, and if he can allow for Moussa to move back down to his more traditional spot of the power forward for the majority of the time he's on the floor, as well as grabbing rebounds like he did at Creighton, then absolutely he'll be a vital piece for this Hornets team going forwards this season, and he'll be a crucial part of their success and getting into that play-in like I was just talking about. We're just one day away, as I've said, from opening night. Tip-off is right around the corner. We will find out the answers to all of our questions about the Hornets, more specifically, who are going to be the 2 that run out with Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, and Miles Bridges tomorrow night as the starters. Is it going to be Colin Sexton? Is it going to be Con Knipple? Is it going to be Mason Plumlee, Moussa Diabate, Ryan Kalkbrenner? There's still a lot of possibilities. It's still a very intriguing question. It's something we'll have to wait and find out the answer to. As you know, I've told you several times on the show, I've been excited all summer long, more excited than in a very long time for this Hornets season. But now that it's finally on our doorsteps, I'm all the way locked in. I'm all the way ready for this NBA season. Again, I've told you before, it's scary territories how excited I am about this Hornets team and what I think they can do going forward this season and to make an impact. But we'll have to wait and see once again. Tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for today's show. We'll be back tomorrow to preview opening night and talk about all of the things we expect to see going forwards. The brand new renovations of the Spectrum Center will be done. It'll be a whole new building the Hornets will be playing in almost. So again, thanks for watching today. As always, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, leave a like and a comment down in the comment section. Can't wait to see you right back here tomorrow for a brand new episode